The quiet morning of Thanksgiving. A calm holiday sleep story. You wake before the alarm, before the first light touches the horizon, before anyone else in the house stirs. It's that particular kind of waking that feels natural, as though your body knows this day is special and wants to greet it fully, consciously. The darkness in your bedroom is soft, not oppressive, and you lie still for a moment, feeling the weight of the blankets over you, the coolness of the air against your face. Outside, the world is silent in that profound way that only exists in the hours before dawn, when even the birds haven't yet begun their morning conversations. You can feel it already, can you not? That quiet anticipation that lives in your chest, gentle and warm. Thanksgiving. The word itself seems to settle something inside you. There's no urgency yet, no need to rush. The day stretches ahead with all its promise. But right now, right in this moment, it belongs only to you. This is your time, this sacred pocket of stillness before the beautiful chaos begins. You slide from beneath the covers slowly, your feet finding the floor. The wood or carpet beneath you is cool, and this small sensation grounds you, brings you fully into your body, into this moment. You reach for the robe you left draped over the chair the night before, wrapping it around yourself, feeling the soft fabric against your arms. The house around you is so quiet you can hear your own breath, can feel the way sound seems to absorb into the walls, the furniture, the curtains. As you leave your bedroom, you move through the hallway with a gentleness that feels appropriate for this hour. Your hand trails along the wall, fingertips brushing against familiar surfaces. You pass the rooms where others sleep, and you can sense their presence, their peaceful breathing, even through the closed doors. There's something tender about being awake while others rest, about being the guardian of these quiet hours. Your footsteps are soft, instinctive, and you find yourself almost floating through the house, as though you're moving through a dream. The living room is dim, shapes emerging slowly as your eyes adjust. The couch where someone will nap later this afternoon, the chair where your father always sits with his coffee, the bookshelf filled with spines you could identify by touch alone. Everything waits. The Thanksgiving decorations you arranged yesterday catch what little light filters in from the street. A small cornucopia on the side table, autumn leaves scattered artfully across the mantel. They seem different in this darkness, more like promises than declarations. You can see into the dining room from here, can make out the outline of the table. Last night before bed you set out the placemats, the good napkins folded just so, the candlesticks waiting for their tapers. The wine glasses are lined up like soldiers, catching tiny glints of ambient light. You'd arranged the centerpiece, that mix of gourds and pine cones and branches of bittersweet, adjusting it until it felt right. Now in the pre-dawn darkness, it all waits with a kind of patient grace. Soon this table will be filled with food, with voices, with laughter and conversation. But not yet. Not yet. The kitchen is where you're headed, and as you round the corner, you reach for the light switch. But you pause. Instead of the overhead light, you turn on the small lamp that sits on the counter, the one with the warm bulb that casts everything in amber. This feels better, more appropriate for this hour. The kitchen reveals itself in gentle increments, shadows and highlights, familiar and yet somehow new. Last night you prepared this space, cleaned and readied it for today's work. Now you see the fruits of that labor. The countertops are clear and clean, surfaces gleaming softly in the lamplight. The sink is empty, the dish towel folded and draped over the faucet. Your cutting boards are stacked neatly, your knives in their block, your measuring cups nested like a family of birds. Everything has its place. Everything waits. The refrigerator hums, that constant white noise you usually don't notice, but in this silence it becomes a kind of companionship, a reminder that you're not alone, that the house itself is alive in its way. Inside that refrigerator, you know, are all the ingredients you purchased yesterday. The turkey, massive and cold, taking up the entire bottom shelf. The vegetables in the crisper drawers, the butter and cream, the cranberries in their bag, the celery and onions, the fresh herbs in their plastic containers. You'd made a list, checked it twice, walked the aisles of the grocery store with focused intention. Now it all waits to be transformed. The oven stands ready, its door closed. its interior dark. Soon it will be the heart of everything, radiating heat and promise, filling the house with aromas that mean home and tradition and love. But for now it rests, patient and cold. You place your hand on its door for a moment, feeling the smooth enamel cool beneath your palm. Hello, old friend, you think. We have work to do today, but not quite yet. You move to the window above the sink, the one that looks out over the backyard. Outside, the darkness is beginning to soften at the edges, that first subtle shift that promises dawn even though the sun is still below the horizon. The trees are black silhouettes against a sky that's transitioning from charcoal to the deepest blue. You can make out the shape of the garden, dormant now in late November, the bird feeder hanging from its shepherd's hook, the fence that marks the border of your small kingdom. This is the view you know best, the one you've looked at thousands of times while washing dishes, preparing meals, talking on the phone, lost in thought. But this morning, it feels different. Perhaps it's the hour, perhaps it's the day itself, but you find yourself really seeing it, really taking it in. The way the grass is silver with frost, the way the neighbor's house is dark except for one window where someone else is awake, a fellow traveler in these quiet hours. You turn from the window and fill the kettle with fresh water, the sound of it rushing from the faucet loud in the silence. You place it on the stove, turn the burner on, watch the blue flame circle into life beneath it. The kettle will take a few minutes to boil, and you use this time to simply stand, to breathe, to be present in this moment before the work begins. Your hands rest on the counter, and you look around the kitchen with new appreciation. This room has seen so much life. How many meals have been prepared here? How many conversations held? How many tears and laughter? How many ordinary moments that make up a life fully lived? The kitchen is more than just a room, you realize. It's a vessel for love, a place where raw ingredients are transformed into nourishment, where the act of feeding becomes an act of caring. You think about the people who will gather here today. You picture their faces, hear their voices in your mind. Your mother, who always brings her famous sweet potato casserole, and who will inevitably rearrange your spice cabinet because she cannot help herself. Your father, who will settle into his chair with the newspaper and a cup of coffee, content to let the preparations happen around him. Your sister and her husband, their children, who will bring energy and noise and joy into every corner of the house. Your brother calling from across the country, his voice on speakerphone joining the celebration even from a distance. Perhaps friends, those chosen family members who have nowhere else to go, or who you simply cannot imagine the day without. Each of them carries their own stories, their own year's worth of experiences. Each of them will bring something to this table, not just food but themselves, their presence, their love. And you, here in this quiet kitchen in the pre-dawn darkness, are preparing a place for all of that to unfold. There's a kind of honor in this, is there not? A privilege in being the one who rises early, who makes ready, who sets the stage for connection and gratitude. The kettle begins to whisper, that sound it makes before it truly boils, and you turn down the flame slightly. Not yet. Let it take its time. You open the refrigerator, the light from within momentarily bright, and you survey your supplies. The turkey is there. Yes, still in its wrapper, and you know you'll need to take it out soon. Let it come closer to room temperature before it goes into the oven. But first, there are other things to attend to. You pull out the crisper drawer and remove the vegetables you'll need for the early preparations. Celery, onions, carrots. The celery is cold and damp against your fingers, the onions papery and dry. You place them on the counter, a small harvest, and close the refrigerator door. The kitchen returns to its amber lamplight, and you return to your rhythm, slow and unhurried. The sky outside has lightened perceptibly now. That deep blue has given way to something softer, streaked with the faintest suggestion of pink along the eastern horizon. Dawn is coming, slow and sure, and you are here to witness it. You move back to the window, drawn to this daily miracle that you so often miss, caught as you usually are in the rush of getting ready for work, the morning routine, the demands of the day. But today is different. Today you can watch. Today you can see. The shapes in the backyard are becoming more defined now. You can distinguish individual branches on the trees, can see the texture of the grass, can make out the small details that darkness had hidden. A bird lands on the feeder, one of the early risers, and begins to peck at the seeds there. You watch it, this small creature, and feel a kinship. Both of you awake before the world, both of you beginning your day in the quiet. The kettle reaches its boil, the whistle soft at first and then insistent, and you turn off the flame. The sudden silence is almost startling, and you pour the hot water into your favorite mug, the one with the small chip on the handle that your fingers automatically avoid, the one that fits your hands just right. You've placed a tea bag in the mug already, and now you watch as the water darkens, the color seeping out from the bag in tendrils swirling and mixing until the entire mug is the rich brown of black tea. You add a splash of milk, just enough, and a small spoon of honey, stirring slowly, watching the honey dissolve and disappear. This cup of tea is for you. This moment is for you. Before the day begins in earnest. You lift the mug to your face and breathe in the steam. Let it warm your cheeks. Let the scent of the tea fill your lungs. It's such a simple pleasure, such an ordinary magic, and yet it feels profound in this moment. You take a small sip, careful of the heat, and the tea is perfect. Of course it is. You've made this same cup of tea 1,000 times, know exactly how you like it, and there's comfort in that knowledge, in that consistency. But you don't linger over the tea, not yet. There's work to be done, and you're eager to begin, eager to move through the familiar rituals of this day's preparation. You set the mug on the counter within easy reach and turn your attention to the vegetables waiting there. The celery first. You pull a stalk from the bunch, rinse it under cool water, the sound of the water a kind of music in the quiet kitchen. The celery is crisp and cold, and as you begin to chop it, the fresh green scent rises up. Your knife moves in a steady rhythm, the blade hitting the cutting board in regular intervals, and you watch the celery transform into neat pieces, uniform and ready. There's a meditation in this, in the simple act of chopping vegetables. Your mind settles, your breath deepens, and you are entirely present in the task. The weight of the knife in your hand, the resistance of the celery, the sound and the scent and the motion. All of it. You move through the bunch, stalk by stalk, until you have a small pile of chopped celery, bright green against the wood of the cutting board. Next, the onions. You choose a large yellow onion, firm and heavy in your hand, and peel away the papery skin. As you cut into it, the sharp scent immediately fills the air, and your eyes begin to water. This too is part of the ritual. This small discomfort that comes with the territory. You don't mind. You continue cutting, dicing the onion into small pieces, and you think about all the hands that have done this same task, all the cooks throughout history who have stood at counters and cutting boards, preparing food for the people they love. You are part of that lineage, part of that great unbroken chain of caregiving and nourishment. The carrots are next, and you peel them first, the vegetable peeler revealing the bright orange beneath the skin. You chop them into rounds, watching the perfect circles form with each cut. The carrots are sweet-smelling, earthy, and you pop a small piece into your mouth, tasting the raw crunch, the natural sugar. It's good. Everything is good. Outside, the pink along the horizon has deepened to rose, streaked with gold. The sun hasn't crested yet, but it's close. So close you can feel its approach, can sense the way the quality of light is changing moment by moment. You glance up from your cutting board often, watching this transformation, not wanting to miss a second of it. With the vegetables chopped and ready, you move them into a large bowl and set them aside. You wash your hands, dry them on the dish towel, and take another sip of your tea. It's cooled slightly now, to that perfect drinking temperature, and you savor it, letting the warmth travel down your throat and into your chest. You can feel yourself waking fully now, the last traces of sleep leaving your body, replaced by a gentle energy, a readiness for the day ahead. You retrieve the bread from the pantry, the loaf you purchased specifically for stuffing. Some people use packaged stuffing mix, you know, but you prefer to make it from scratch, to tear the bread into pieces with your own hands, to control every element of this dish. There's a satisfaction in that, in knowing exactly what's going into the food you're serving, in making it all with intention and care. You tear the bread into rough cubes, filling another large bowl, and as you work, you think about stuffing, about why it matters. It's not the most glamorous dish on the Thanksgiving table. It's not the turkey, the centerpiece, the star. It's not the pie, the sweet conclusion, the reward. But stuffing is essential. It's the dish that soaks up all the flavors, that bridges the other foods, that carries memories in every bite. Your grandmother made stuffing this way, with bread and onions and celery and sage. Your mother makes it this way, and now you make it this way. The recipe exists not on paper, but in your hands, in your muscle memory, in the way you know without measuring exactly how much of each ingredient to use. Once the bread is torn, you drizzle it with olive oil, just enough to give it richness, and you add the vegetables you'd chopped earlier. Then come the herbs. You open the small containers of fresh sage and thyme, and the scent that escapes is so powerful, so evocative, that you close your eyes for a moment. This is the smell of Thanksgiving. Not pumpkin pie, not cinnamon or nutmeg, but sage and thyme, earthy and woody and ancient. You chop the herbs finely, your knife moving quickly now, and you add them to the bowl, using your hands to toss everything together. The bread, the vegetables, the herbs, the oil. Your hands become coated with the mixture, and you don't mind. This is tactile work, sensory work, and it requires your full engagement. You add salt and pepper, more than you think you need because you know the bread will absorb it, will need the seasoning to come alive. The stuffing isn't ready yet, not quite. It needs to sit, needs to meld, and you'll add broth later, before it goes into the oven. But the foundation is laid, and you feel that small sense of accomplishment that comes with completing a task, even a small one. You wash your hands again, rinse the cutting board, wipe down the counter. The kitchen is still relatively clean, still orderly, but you can see the signs of work beginning. The bowl of stuffing mixture, the scraps of vegetable peelings in the compost bin, the used knife in the sink. This is just the start. You turn your attention to the turkey. It's time. You open the refrigerator and carefully remove the large bird, and it's heavier than you remembered, awkward to maneuver. You place it in the sink and begin to unwrap it, peeling away the plastic, reaching inside to remove the bag of giblets from the cavity. The turkey is cold and slippery, and you handle it with care, with respect. This bird gave its life so that you and your family could feast, could gather, could celebrate. That's not lost on you. You rinse the turkey inside and out, the water sluicing over the pale skin, and then you pat it dry with paper towels. This is unglamorous work, messy and cold, but it's necessary. You place the turkey in your largest roasting pan, and it fits just barely, the tips of the legs touching one end, the breast the other. You look at it for a moment, this bird that will feed everyone, and you think about transformation. Right now it's raw and plain, but in a few hours it will be golden and beautiful. The centerpiece of the meal, the dish everyone will photograph before digging in. But first, it needs preparation. You reach for the butter, softened overnight on the counter, and you begin to rub it over the skin of the turkey, massaging it in, making sure every inch is coated. The butter is smooth and rich under your fingers, and you work it into the bird with a kind of tenderness. You season it generously with salt and pepper, and then you add herbs, tucking sprigs of fresh rosemary and thyme under the skin of the breast, where they'll infuse the meat with flavor as it cooks. The turkey is nearly ready now. You slice a lemon in half and place both halves inside the cavity, along with a quartered onion and more herbs. These will steam the bird from the inside. Keep it moist, add subtle layers of flavor. You tie the legs together with kitchen twine, tuck the wingtips under the body, and step back to survey your work. The turkey looks good, looks ready, and you feel a small surge of pride. The sky outside is brilliant now. The sun has broken the horizon, and shafts of golden light stream through the window, painting everything they touch with warmth. The light catches the stainless steel of the sink, the glass of the window, the surface of your tea in its mug, and everything glows. This is the magic hour, photographers call it, when the light is soft and kind and makes everything beautiful. You stand in this light and let it touch your face, let it warm you, and you close your eyes and simply breathe. When you open them again, you turn to the oven. It's time. You set the temperature, high at first, because you'll roast the turkey at a high heat initially to brown the skin, and then you'll lower it for the long, slow cooking that will make the meat tender and juicy. The oven begins to preheat, the element glowing red, and you can already feel the heat beginning to emanate from it. While you wait for the oven to come to temperature, you prepare the other dishes that will go in alongside the turkey or that will need oven space later. The sweet potatoes need to be peeled and cubed, and you set about this task with the same mindful attention you've given everything else. The sweet potatoes are dense and orange, and as you peel them, that earthy sweet scent fills the air. You cut them into chunks and place them in a baking dish, drizzle them with olive oil and maple syrup, sprinkle them with cinnamon and a touch of cayenne for heat. They'll roast until they're caramelized and tender, their edges crispy and their centers soft. The green beans are already prepped, trimmed and ready in a container in the refrigerator, and you'll blanch them later, just before serving, so they retain their bright color and snap. The cranberry sauce, you decide, you'll make now while you're waiting, because it needs time to cool and set. You pull out the bag of cranberries, rinse them, and place them in a saucepan with sugar and orange juice and a cinnamon stick. You turn the heat to medium and watch as the cranberries begin to burst, their skins splitting with small pops, releasing their tart juice. The smell is bright and sharp, cutting through the richer scents of butter and herbs, and you stir the mixture, watching it transform from a bag of hard berries into a glossy, jewel-toned sauce. The oven beeps, signaling it's reached temperature, and your heart gives a little leap. This is the moment. You slide the roasting pan with the turkey into the oven, the heat hitting your face as you open the door, and you close it gently, carefully. Through the oven window, you can see the bird inside, and you know that in just a little while, it will begin to brown, will begin to smell like Thanksgiving, will begin the transformation that is at the heart of this day. With the turkey in, you set a timer, not because you need to worry yet, but because you want to keep track, want to stay on top of things. The cranberry sauce is bubbling merrily on the stove top, and you give it another stir before turning down the heat and letting it simmer. You cover it partially, leaving just enough room for steam to escape, and you leave it to its own devices, trusting the process. You take your tea tepid now, but still good, and you move to the small breakfast nook, the little table in the corner of the kitchen where you eat quick breakfasts on work mornings, where you sort mail and pay bills, where you sit with your laptop on lazy Sundays. You sit now, in your robe, with your tea, and you look around the kitchen with satisfaction. The space has come alive. The oven is warming the room, radiating heat that takes the chill off the morning air. The cranberry sauce simmers on the stove, filling the air with its tart sweetness. The bowl of stuffing sits on the counter, ready for its next step. The vegetables for side dishes wait in their containers. Everything is progressing, everything is on schedule, and you feel a sense of calm competence, of being exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to do. The light from outside is fuller now, brighter, and the kitchen is bathed in it. You can see dust motes floating in the beams of sun, can see the way the light illuminates every surface, every corner. Outside, the world is waking up. You can hear a car drive by on the street, can hear a door close somewhere in the neighborhood, can hear the birds in full chorus now, greeting the day with their songs. You think about Thanksgiving, about what this day means. It's easy, you know, to get caught up in the stress of it, in the pressure to make everything perfect, to satisfy everyone's expectations, to create a Norman Rockwell painting come to life. But sitting here, in this quiet moment, you remember what it's really about. It's about gratitude, yes, but it's also about gathering, about showing up for each other, about sharing food and time and presence. The food is important. You're not diminishing that, but the food is a vehicle, a means to an end. The real point is what happens around the table, the conversations and laughter and connection. You think about what you're grateful for this year. It's been a year like any other, which is to say, it's been a mix of good and hard, of joy and challenge, of moments of grace and moments of struggle. But you've made it through. You're here, in this kitchen, on this morning, preparing to welcome the people you love into your home. That in itself feels like something to be grateful for. You're grateful for your health, for the ability to stand here and cook, to move through these tasks without pain or difficulty. You're grateful for this house, this shelter, this place that keeps you warm and dry and safe. You're grateful for the food in your refrigerator, for the abundance that allows you to prepare a feast when so many people have so little. You're grateful for the people who will gather here today, for the fact that you have people to gather, that you are not alone in this world. And you're grateful for this moment, right now, this quiet hour before the day truly begins. This is a gift you've given yourself, this time of solitude and reflection, and you recognize it as such. In a few hours, the house will be full of people and noise and activity, and that will be wonderful, but it will also be overwhelming in its way. This time, right now, is yours alone, and you treasure it. The timer for the oven hasn't gone off yet, but you rise from the table anyway, drawn back to the work, eager to keep your hands busy. You pour the cranberry sauce into a serving bowl to cool, and it's thick and glossy and perfect. You wash the saucepan immediately, not wanting it to sit and become difficult to clean later, and you set it in the dish rack to dry. The stuffing needs its broth now, and you open a container of homemade stock from the refrigerator. You'd made this stock earlier in the week, simmering chicken bones and vegetables for hours until the liquid was rich and golden and full of flavor. Now you pour it over the bread mixture just enough to moisten everything without making it soggy, and you use a large spoon to mix it all together, making sure every piece of bread is touched by the liquid, by the herbs, by the vegetables. The stuffing goes into a baking dish, and you cover it with foil, ready to go into the oven later, after you've lowered the temperature for the turkey. You label it in your mind, add it to the mental schedule you're keeping. So much of cooking a meal like this is about timing, about knowing what needs to happen when, about juggling multiple dishes and temperatures and techniques. But you've done this before, you know how it works, and you feel confident in your ability to pull it all together. The scent in the kitchen has shifted now. The butter on the turkey is beginning to release its aroma as it melts, mixing with the herbs and the smell of the bird itself. It's subtle still, just a hint of what's to come, but it's there, that first whisper of roasting meat, that promise of the feast ahead. You breathe it in, and something inside you settles even further. This is right. This is good. You move through the kitchen, wiping down surfaces, organizing as you go. You're not neat by nature, tend toward creative chaos in your daily life. But cooking requires a certain level of order, and you rise to meet that requirement. You wash and dry the cutting board, put away the herbs, return ingredients to the refrigerator or the pantry. You want to maintain the sense of space and calm in this room. Want to be able to move freely without tripping over clutter or searching for tools. The mashed potatoes can be prepped now, too, at least partially. You'll cook them later, closer to when you plan to serve, so they're hot and fresh. But you can peel the potatoes now, get them in water so they don't oxidize. You pull the bag of russet potatoes from the pantry, large and heavy, and you begin to peel them one by one. The peeler makes a satisfying scraping sound as it removes the brown skin, revealing the pale, starchy flesh beneath. Your hands work automatically, and you let your mind wander. You think about past Thanksgivings, the long string of them that stretch back through your life. You remember being a child, underfoot in your own mother's kitchen, sneaking bites of this and that, being shooed away but not unkindly. You remember the year you first hosted, how nervous you were, how certain you were that you'd burn something or forget something or somehow fail. You remember the year it snowed, big wet flakes that covered everything in white, and how magical it had felt, looking out at the transformed world while inside everything was warm and golden and smelled like heaven. You think about the people who used to be at this table but aren't anymore. Grandparents who have passed, friends who have moved away, relationships that have ended. There's a tenderness to those memories, a bitter sweetness. They were part of your Thanksgivings once, and now they're not. And that's the nature of life, isn't it? People come and go, circumstances change, and all you can do is be present for what is, right now, in this moment. The potatoes are peeled, and you cut them into chunks and submerge them in a pot of cold water. They'll wait there, patient and ready, until you need them. You dry your hands and check the clock. Time is moving, as it always does, but there's still plenty of it. You're ahead of schedule, if anything, and that feels good, feels like a small victory. The oven timer goes off, and you move to check the turkey. You open the door, and the heat and scent rush out, enveloping you. The bird is beginning to brown, the skin turning golden in places, and it looks beautiful. You close the door and lower the temperature as planned, and you reset the timer for the longer cooking period. The turkey will be in the oven for hours still, but it's well on its way now, and you feel that sense of something accomplished, even though the work is far from over. With the turkey taken care of, you turn your attention to the dishes that need baking alongside it or after it. The sweet potatoes can go in now, and you slide their baking dish into the oven, finding space on the rack below the turkey. The stuffing will go in later, maybe in the last hour, and the rolls you've made can go in at the very end, so they're warm and fresh when you sit down to eat. You've been standing for a while now, moving from task to task, and you realize your feet are beginning to feel the effort. You pour yourself another cup of tea, this one fresher, hotter, and you move back to your spot at the breakfast nook. From here, you can see the entire kitchen, can keep an eye on everything while you rest for just a moment. The warmth from the oven has spread through the room now, and the kitchen feels like a living thing, breathing and humming with purpose. The scents are layering, building upon one another. The sweet earthiness of the roasting sweet potatoes mingles with the savory richness of the butter and herbs on the turkey. The cranberry sauce has cooled on the counter, and its bright, tart aroma cuts through everything else, a high note in the symphony of smells. You cup your hands around your mug and look out the window. The sun is fully up now, bright and clear in a blue sky. The frost on the grass has melted, and everything sparkles with moisture. A few leaves, the last stubborn hangers-on from autumn, drift from the trees and spiral down to the ground. You watch them fall, their lazy descent, and you think about seasons, about cycles, about the way everything has its time. Thanksgiving falls in this liminal space between autumn and winter, when the trees are mostly bare but before the deep cold truly sets in. It's a threshold time, and perhaps that's appropriate for a holiday about gratitude and reflection. You're looking back at the year that's passed, taking stock of what's been harvested, both literally and metaphorically, and you're preparing for the dormancy of winter, for the quiet months ahead when things slow down and turn inward. There's something deeply satisfying about working with the rhythm of the seasons, about eating foods that are appropriate to this time of year. The root vegetables, the squashes, the cranberries, the turkey itself, these are all foods of late autumn, foods that sustained people through long winters before there were grocery stores with strawberries in December and tomatoes in January. There's a rightness to eating this way, a connection to something older and wiser than our modern, disconnected lives. Your tea is perfect, and you sip it slowly, in no rush. The house is still quiet, though you can sense that this won't last much longer. Someone will wake soon, will shuffle to the bathroom, will make their way downstairs, and the solitude will be broken. You don't resent this. You love the people who will soon be stirring, but you savor these last moments of aloneness, of being the only one awake, the guardian of this sacred morning time. You think about the day ahead, about the arc it will follow, the slow build of morning preparations, the arrival of guests in the afternoon, the drinks and appetizers and conversation before the meal, the moment when everyone finally sits down at the table, when you look around at all the faces you love, when someone says grace or offers a toast, the passing of dishes, the filling of plates, the first bites of food that you've spent hours preparing, the laughter and stories, the way conversations split and merge and split again, the comfortable chaos of people who know each other well, who have history, who belong together. And then, after the meal, the slow descent into contentment, the loosening of belts, the groans of pleasant fullness, the move from the dining room to the living room where people will settle into chairs and couches. Some will nap, their heads falling back, their mouths slightly open, and no one will judge them for it. Others will watch football, the game a pleasant background hum, or they'll play cards, or they'll stand in the kitchen, picking at leftovers and washing dishes and continuing conversations that meander and flow. The light will change as afternoon becomes evening, and eventually people will begin to leave, bundling up against the cold, carrying containers of leftovers, hugging at the door, promises to do it again soon. Safe travels, love you. And then finally, the house will be quiet again, but a different quiet than this morning's. A satisfied quiet, a tired quiet, the quiet of a day well lived, of a celebration complete. But all of that is still ahead. Right now, you're here, in this kitchen, in this moment, and that's enough. You finish your tea and rise, placing the empty mug in the sink. There's still work to be done, still preparations to make. The pies need to be baked. You'd made the dough yesterday, and it's been chilling in the refrigerator overnight. You pull it out now, along with the filling you'd prepared, and you set about rolling out the crust. The dough is cold and firm, and you flour the counter and the rolling pin, and you begin to roll. This is one of those tasks that requires a light touch, a patient hand. Roll too hard, and the dough becomes tough. Rush it and it tears. But you've made pie crust enough times to know the feel of it, to know when it's ready. The dough spreads under the rolling pin, becomes thinner, wider, and when it's the right size, you carefully drape it over the pie pan, press it into the corners, trim the edges. The pumpkin filling goes in next, smooth and spiced and the color of terracotta. You pour it carefully, filling the crust to just the right level, and you slide the pie into the oven, onto the rack above the sweet potatoes. The oven is getting crowded now, multiple dishes occupying its space, and you make a mental note of where everything is, how long each thing needs. While the pie bakes, you prepare the second one, apple this time, because there are always different preferences, always someone who doesn't like pumpkin. You peel and slice the apples, toss them with sugar and cinnamon and a squeeze of lemon juice, and you fill another crust with this mixture. This pie gets a top crust, and you crimp the edges together, cut vents in the top to let steam escape, brush it with egg wash so it will turn golden and glossy. It will go in the oven when the pumpkin pie comes out, a relay of baking, and both will be cooled and ready by the time dessert rolls around. The scent in the kitchen is extraordinary now. The turkey is perfuming the air with its rich, meaty aroma. The sweet potatoes add their caramelized sweetness, and now the pumpkin pie contributes its warm spices, cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, clove. These are the scents that mean Thanksgiving, that mean home, that mean love made tangible. You could bottle this smell and sell it, you think, and people would buy it by the gallon. But it would never be quite the same as this, as the real thing, as the actual process of cooking, of transforming raw ingredients into a feast. You hear a sound from upstairs, footsteps on the ceiling above you, and you smile. Someone is awake. The quiet morning is drawing to a close, and you're ready for it, ready to share this space, ready to welcome others into what you've created here. You quickly wipe down the counter one more time, toss the apple peelings into the compost, put away the flour and sugar. The kitchen looks lived in now, looks worked in, but not chaotic. There's evidence of activity everywhere. The bowl of stuffing waiting, the pot of potatoes in water, the cranberry sauce cooling, the pies in the oven. But it's organized chaos, purposeful activity. You feel a sense of pride looking around, a sense of accomplishment. You've done this. You've started this day, set it in motion, and now others can join in. You hear the bathroom door close upstairs, hear water running through the pipes, and you decide to make a fresh pot of coffee. Whoever is awake will likely want some, and the gesture feels welcoming, feels like an invitation to join you in this warm, fragrant kitchen. You measure out the coffee grounds, fill the reservoir with water, press the button, and soon the machine is burbling and hissing, and the scent of brewing coffee joins the chorus of aromas. While you wait for the coffee, you check on everything in the oven, and the turkey is doing beautifully, its skin a deep golden brown now, the meat cooking slowly and evenly in the low heat. The sweet potatoes are caramelizing at the edges, darkening to that perfect mix of sweet and almost burnt. The pumpkin pie is setting, its surface smooth and slightly domed. Everything is progressing exactly as it should, and you feel that surge of confidence that comes from knowing you know what you're doing, that you can handle this. Footsteps on the stairs, and you turn to see your mother entering the kitchen, wrapped in her own robe, her hair still mussed from sleep. She looks at you and smiles, that soft morning smile, and says, "You're up early." "Couldn't sleep," you say, which is true and not true. You could have slept longer, could have stayed in bed, but you chose this, chose to rise and claim these quiet hours. Coffee's almost ready. She moves to the window, looks out at the bright morning, and then turns to survey the kitchen. You've been busy, she observes, and there's approval in her voice, affection. It smells incredible in here. Turkey's been in for a while, you tell her. Everything's on schedule. She pours herself a cup of coffee when the machine finishes, and she leans against the counter, cupping the mug in both hands the same way you do. This is where you learned it, from her. And she looks at you with that expression mothers have, that mix of love and pride and something else, something tender and a little sad, as though they're always seeing you as both who you are now and who you were when you were small. Do you need help with anything? She asks, but you shake your head. Not yet. Later, maybe, when things get hectic. But right now, I'm good. She nods, accepts this, and the two of you stand in comfortable silence, sipping your coffee, the kitchen warm and fragrant around you. This is nice, you think. This is one of those moments that you'll remember, one of those small pockets of connection that matter more than you can articulate. Your mother in her robe, coffee in hand, the morning light on her face, the two of you together in this kitchen where so much life has happened. I always loved Thanksgiving morning, she says after a while, her voice quiet, reflective. That feeling of anticipation, of knowing something good is coming, of working toward it. Me too, you say, and you realize it's true. The day itself is wonderful, but there's something special about the preparation, about this building toward the celebration. The work is part of the joy, not separate from it. She asks about the menu, and you walk her through it. The turkey, the stuffing, the mashed potatoes and gravy, the green beans, the sweet potatoes, the cranberry sauce, the rolls, the pies. She nods at each item, familiar with all of it, and she offers a few suggestions, gently, the way she does. Maybe add a bit more sage to the gravy. Make sure the potatoes are really well drained before you mash them, otherwise they get gluey. Little bits of wisdom passed from her to you, just as they were passed to her from her own mother. You listen and you take the suggestions, because even though you know how to cook, even though you're perfectly capable, there's always more to learn, and her experience is valuable. This is how traditions are maintained, how knowledge is transferred. Not through written recipes, but through these moments, through standing together in kitchens, through the sharing of tips and tricks and techniques. She finishes her coffee and says she's going to shower and dress, that she'll be back down soon. You tell her to take her time, that you have everything under control, and she kisses your cheek as she passes, her hand briefly touching your shoulder. When she's gone, the kitchen feels a little emptier, but not unpleasantly so. You're glad she was here, glad for that moment of connection, but you're also glad to return to your work, to your rhythm. The pumpkin pie is done, and you remove it from the oven, setting it on a cooling rack. It's perfect, the surface smooth and uncracked, the edges of the crust golden. You slide the apple pie in to replace it, and you adjust the temperature slightly, because apple pies bake at a higher heat than pumpkin. The turkey and sweet potatoes continue their slow roasting, and you baste the turkey with the pan juices, spooning the butter and fat and liquid over the bird, keeping it moist, adding flavor. The day is truly underway now. You can hear the shower running upstairs, can hear someone else moving around in one of the bedrooms. The house is waking, coming alive, and soon it will be full of people and activity. But you've laid the groundwork. The foundation is there. Everything from here is just building on what you've already created in these quiet morning hours. You think about the word Thanksgiving, about what it means to give thanks. It's easy to list things you're grateful for: health, family, home, food. But true gratitude is something deeper than a list, isn't it? It's a state of being, a way of moving through the world. It's noticing the small things, the ordinary miracles. The way the light falls through a window, the scent of coffee, the weight of a warm mug in your hands, the sound of someone you love moving around in the house above you. True gratitude is being present for your life as it is, not as you wish it were. It's acknowledging the hard parts alongside the good parts, and finding value in all of it. This year has not been perfect. You've had challenges, disappointments, moments of doubt and fear. But you've also had joy, connection, growth, moments of grace. And you're here now in this kitchen, preparing to celebrate with people you love. That's not nothing. That's everything. You prepare the glaze for the turkey, mixing honey and butter and a touch of bourbon, and you brush it over the bird, watching the liquid soak into the skin. The turkey is almost done now, and it looks magnificent, the skin a deep mahogany, crispy and beautiful. You can tell just by looking at it that it's going to be delicious, that the meat will be tender and flavorful, that this bird will be the centerpiece it's meant to be. The stuffing goes into the oven now, the foil-covered dish finding its place on the lower rack, and you set a timer for it. The rolls are shaped and resting, and they'll go in during the last 20 minutes, filling the house with that incomparable scent of baking bread. Everything is choreographed, timed, planned, and it's all coming together exactly as you'd hoped. You start on the mashed potatoes, draining the water from the pot and returning them to the heat for just a moment to dry them out, as your mother suggested. Then you mash them, adding hot cream and butter and salt, working the masher until they're smooth and fluffy. You taste them, adjust the seasoning, taste again. Perfect. You cover the pot to keep them warm, and you set it aside. The gravy is next, and this is the part that makes some people nervous, but you've made gravy enough times that it doesn't intimidate you. You take some of the pan drippings from under the turkey, skim off most of the fat, and you use what's left as the base. You make a roux with flour and butter in a saucepan. Cook it until it's golden and nutty smelling, and then you whisk in the drippings and some stock. The gravy thickens as it cooks, and you add sage and thyme, salt and pepper, and you taste it, adjust it, taste again. It's rich and savory and everything gravy should be, and you pour it into a gravy boat, ready to serve. The kitchen is fully alive now, every surface occupied, every burner in use. The oven is packed, the counters are covered with dishes and bowls and platters, and you're moving through it all with practiced ease, checking and stirring and adjusting. This is the peak of activity, the height of the preparations, and you're in your element, completely focused, completely present. Someone else comes downstairs, your father this time, and he pours himself coffee and settles into a chair with a newspaper, content to be in the same room with you but not intrusive, not demanding attention. This is his way, has always been his way, and you appreciate it. He offers quiet companionship, steady presence, and that's enough. The timer goes off, the turkey is done. You pull it from the oven, and it's glorious. The skin crispy and glistening, the meat beneath it tender and juicy. You can tell without even cutting into it. Can tell from the way it looks and smells, from the clear juices that run when you pierce the thigh with a knife. You tent it with foil and let it rest, because a rested turkey is a tender turkey, and you need this time anyway to finish the other dishes. The sweet potatoes come out next, caramelized and perfect, and you transfer them to a serving dish. The stuffing comes out, crusty on top and tender beneath, and it goes into its own dish. The apple pie comes out, its top crust golden and flaky, steam escaping from the vents, and you set it beside the pumpkin pie to cool. The rolls go in, and you watch them through the oven window as they bake, as they rise and brown and become exactly what they're supposed to be. When they're done, you brush them with melted butter and pile them into a basket lined with a clean kitchen towel. Everything is ready. The table is set. The food is prepared. The house smells like heaven. You step back and survey your work, and you feel a profound sense of accomplishment. You did this. You created this. And soon you'll share it with the people you love, and it will bring them joy. And that's the whole point, isn't it? That's what this has all been about. You take off your apron, smooth down your robe, and you pour yourself one more cup of coffee. The house is filling with people now. Your sister and her family have arrived, and you can hear the children's voices high and excited, can hear the adults greeting each other, the bustle of coats being hung and shoes being removed. They'll make their way to the kitchen soon, drawn by the scents, eager to see what you've prepared. But for just one more moment, you stand alone in this kitchen, in this space you've transformed, and you take it all in. The warmth, the scents, The sight of all the food, ready and waiting. The light streaming through the windows, bright and clear. The sense of abundance, of generosity, of love made tangible. This is what you've created, and it's good. It's very good. You think about the word feast, about its origins. It comes from a Latin word meaning joyful, and that seems right. A feast isn't just about the food, though the food matters. It's about joy, about celebration, about coming together and marking time and acknowledging that we're here, we're alive, we're together. And you think about the word holiday, about how it comes from holy day. And even though Thanksgiving isn't a religious holiday in the traditional sense, there's something sacred about it nonetheless. Sacred in the sense of setting aside time, of marking it as special, of approaching it with intention and reverence. You've treated this morning as sacred, these hours of preparation as a kind of ritual, and that feels appropriate. The voices are getting closer, and soon the kitchen will be full of people, and the quiet will be gone, replaced by conversation and laughter, and the organized chaos of getting everything to the table. You're ready for it. You've done your work. You've laid the foundation. Everything else will flow from here. But before they arrive, before the celebration truly begins, you close your eyes and take one deep breath. You breathe in all the scents, turkey and sage, butter and pie, coffee and cinnamon, and something indefinable, something that is just the smell of home. You breathe in the warmth, the light, the sense of accomplishment and anticipation. You breathe in the gratitude that fills your chest, that makes your heart feel full to bursting, and then you exhale. Slowly, releasing any remaining tension, any worry, any need for things to be perfect. This is enough. You are enough. This moment, right now, is perfect exactly as it is. When you open your eyes, you see your sister standing in the doorway, her children peering around her legs, and she's looking at you with an expression of wonder and love and hunger. "This looks amazing," she says. "When can we eat?" You smile and you gesture to the table, to the food, to everything you've prepared. "Soon," you say. "Very soon." And you mean it. The feast is ready. The celebration can begin. You've done your part, created this space, prepared this food, given this gift. Now it's time to sit down, to gather around the table, to share what you've made with the people who matter most. But even as you move toward the table, even as you begin to transfer food from kitchen to dining room, even as the house fills with voices and movement and life, a part of you holds on to this morning, these quiet hours that were yours alone. You'll carry them with you through the day, through the meal and the conversations and the laughter. You'll carry them with you through the evening, through the goodbyes and the cleanup and the final quiet that comes when everyone is gone. Because this morning was a gift, and gifts like this are rare. The gift of time, of solitude, of being fully present for your life. The gift of working with your hands, creating something meaningful, something that will nourish not just bodies but souls. The gift of watching the sun rise, of witnessing the day begin, of being awake and aware and grateful for all of it. As you watch your family gather around the table, as you see their faces illuminated by candlelight, as you hear them talking and laughing and filling their plates with the food you've prepared, you feel that gratitude wash over you again, stronger this time. This is what you've worked for. This is what the morning was about. Not just the food, but this moment, this gathering, this connection. Someone asks you to sit down, to join them, to stop fussing and start eating. And you do. You settle into your chair, and you look around the table at all these faces you love, and you feel profoundly blessed. The food is delicious. You can tell from the first bite, can tell from the way everyone's eyes close in appreciation, can tell from the satisfied sounds that fill the room. But the food is almost beside the point. The real feast is this: the being together, the sharing not just of food but of time, of presence, of love. As the meal continues, as plates are filled and refilled, as conversations flow and merge and split off into smaller dialogues, you find yourself thinking about the quiet morning again, about those sacred hours before dawn. They feel distant now, almost dreamlike, but they're still there. still part of you. They're the foundation beneath this celebration, the roots that allow this tree to flourish. And as the afternoon wears on, as the meal gives way to dessert, and dessert gives way to that pleasant stupor of contentment, as people begin to settle into chairs and couches, some to nap and some to watch television and some to continue their conversations in quieter tones, you feel yourself beginning to wind down, to release the adrenaline that's been sustaining you, to finally, truly relax. You've done it. You've created Thanksgiving, and it was good. It was very, very good. Later, much later, when everyone has gone and the house is quiet again, when you're loading the last of the dishes into the dishwasher and wrapping up the final containers of leftovers, you'll think about this day. You'll remember the quiet morning, the gentle preparation, the scents and sounds and sights of it all. You'll remember the faces around the table, the laughter and conversation, the sense of abundance and gratitude. And you'll feel tired, bone-deep tired, the kind of tired that comes from meaningful work, from giving of yourself fully. But you'll also feel satisfied. You'll feel complete. You'll feel grateful for all of it, the work and the celebration, the solitude and the gathering, the beginning and the ending. But for now, in this moment, you simply are. You're here, in this kitchen that has been the center of everything today. The oven is off, cooling slowly. The counters are mostly clean. The dishes can wait, and you stand at the window, looking out at the evening darkness, at the stars beginning to appear in the sky, and you take one more deep breath. Thank you, you think, for all of it, for this day, for this life, for this moment. Thank you. And in the quiet of your heart, you feel an answer, a sense of peace that settles over you like a warm blanket. You're welcome. You're so welcome. As you stand there in the gentle darkness, with the last remnants of the day's warmth still lingering in the kitchen, you feel yourself beginning to drift, not into sleep exactly, but into that peaceful state between waking and dreaming. The day has been full, and now it's drawing to a close, and that's okay. That's good. Everything has its season, everything has its time, and this day, this beautiful Thanksgiving day, has been exactly what it needed to be. You think one more time about gratitude, about what it truly means, and you realize that gratitude isn't just about saying thank you for the good things, the easy things. It's about saying thank you for all of it, for the entire experience of being alive, for the quiet mornings and the chaotic afternoons, for the work and the rest, for the solitude and the gathering, for every moment exactly as it is. And with that thought, you feel a deep peace settle over you, a sense of rightness with the world. You've done what you came here to do. You've prepared the feast, welcomed the guests, shared the abundance. You've given thanks, and you've received thanks. You've been present for your life, for this one precious day, and that's all anyone can ever do. As you finally turn away from the window, as you switch off the last light in the kitchen and make your way toward rest, toward sleep, toward the quiet peace of a day well lived, you carry with you the memory of this morning, of those sacred hours when you were alone with the dawn and the work and the gratitude. And as you drift off to sleep, surrounded by the lingering sense of the feast, warmed by the memory of faces you love, held by the knowledge that you did this, you created this, you gave this gift, you find yourself smiling. Because this is what it's all about, isn't it? This is what we're here for. To show up, to prepare, to welcome, to share, to be grateful, to be present, to feast, in every sense of that beautiful word. And as sleep finally takes you, as you surrender to the deep rest you've earned, your last thought is simple, profound, true. Thank you. For all of it. Thank you. If this story resonated with you, if it guided you to a place of peace and rest, please consider showing your support with a like and subscribe to Deep Sleep Stories Hub for more quiet nights and restful journeys. May your sleep be deep, your dreams be gentle, and your heart be full of gratitude. Good night.